for all you ASMR folks out there. That do it for you. Welcome, all of you overstimulated Homo sapiens, back to the Shift Show, episode numero dos, which means you've seen the first episode, and if you came back here, you're either a glutton for punishment or a glutton for healing. Either way, I'm glad you're here, because today's episode is going to address something very important. Some people believe that the biggest problem we face in America today are guns. Others believe that it is mental health. Some believe it's carbon emissions. Some believe it's the patriarchy. You want to know what I think? Well, of course you do, because you're still here. But I believe the biggest problem we face in America today is the same problem that is faced all over the world, and even within each one of us individually. And that, my friends, are beliefs. If you look at many of the problems that we have, especially the human ones, most of them are tethered to a common component: beliefs. Today's episode is going to be all about beliefs. Not dreams, not goals, but the deep-seated, often unshakable, even when completely irrational, beliefs. Or what I like to call the invisible rules that are scribbled on the walls of our brain. Some of them were placed there before you could even read them. They tell you who you are, who you're supposed to be, who's good, who's bad, when it's okay to hate your neighbor, and sometimes when it's okay to hate yourself. Beliefs build nations, burn bridges, start wars, and ruin family dinners faster than politics and bad potato salad. Oftentimes, they cause us to invest every ounce of our being into an idea that has absolutely no truth to it. In fact, beliefs are so deeply rooted sometimes that someone can literally hand us a silver platter that's stacked to the ceiling with irrefutable evidence that proves our belief to actually be wrong. But it's so ingrained in our brain that our brain still says, nope, wrong, my thing's right, your thing's wrong. Let's stop this conversation, please, because now I'm uncomfortable. Today, we're diving into that. We're diving into where they come from, why they stick to us like super glue, and how they can hijack our entire life and the lives around us if we don't stop to explore them, to question them, even change them when necessary. And that just sounds terrifying itself, right? Changing your beliefs? Yuck. Of course it sounds terrifying, because beliefs are cozy little bastards. They're like squishmallows for your brain. Harmless, right? Comforting, until you realize they've been suffocating you in your sleep. We cling to them because they make the chaos of this life feel a little less chaotic. And all the existential questions we have, they make them easier to digest. But the funny thing about beliefs is, most of them aren't even yours. Oh yes, we're uncomfortable already, and we ain't even 5 minutes in, right? Go ahead and get some caffeine, get some chocolate, get whatever it is that you need. It's going to be an uncomfortable episode, but it's going to be a good one. Think about this. The very first beliefs that you had, they weren't chosen. Did you read a PowerPoint before sliding down the birth canal? No? Your first beliefs were downloaded like some janky version of Windows Microsoft that your parents thought was just good enough. You didn't pop out of the womb thinking blue is for boys, pink is for girls, and ball is life. You didn't know which religion that you would subscribe to yet. You didn't know which news station tells the truth. You didn't know anything other than it's a little colder outside than what you're used to. Now, all those beliefs, they're handed to you through your parents, your teachers, your churches, TV shows, schoolmates, and that one weird neighbor who swears Bigfoot mowed his lawn the last time he did shrooms. Beliefs sneak in to our lives early. Little phrases that at first seem harmless, but they get tattooed on your psyche. Like, boys don't cry. That makes you a weak little scaredy cat, right? Money is evil. Don't trust strangers. Stepping on cracks will break your mother's back. Hell, sometimes it's just the facial expressions alone. Your mom sighs or rolls her eyes every time you speak up at the dinner table. And suddenly, you believe your voice is an inconvenience. So you don't speak out anymore. Why would you? It hasn't gotten you anywhere. No. No one wrote those rules down for you. But here you are, 40 years old, apologizing before you order at Starbucks because it's like the barista personally owns the milk and your order is an inconvenience that she'll never recover from. The problem is, once beliefs move in, they set up their furniture. They start decorating, they paint the walls, they hang the curtains, and they convince you that the place looks better this way. Even the shitty beliefs, the ones that actually hurt you, the ones that tell you you're unlovable, or broken, or destined to fail. Any of those feel familiar? And the brain, by the way, it loves familiar. It loves it so much that it would rather stay in a room that it's miserable in because it recognizes it. It would rather do that than it would risk walking into a room that it's never been in before because at least it has expectations, right? That's why people fight over their beliefs, like they're the literal oxygen that we need to stay alive. We spend more energy defending our beliefs than we do living our own lives. Wars aren't fought over facts. They're fought over beliefs that people mistake for facts. Religion, politics, don't get mad, okay? We're here to learn together, all right? Empires have been built on the idea that my belief is true and yours is crap. And God told me personally that mine is right and yours is wrong, and I should smite you for it. We've killed each other, excommunicated each other, canceled each other, all because someone else's invisible brain wallpaper crashed with yours. People will ruin lives because they disagree with somebody. Just a couple weeks ago, Charlie Kirk's assassination, whether you agree with this dude or his beliefs or not, he was killed for his beliefs, thoughts in his head, killed unalived, removed from any possibility of spending more time in this objective reality with his family. And again, whether you loved or hated the guy, if you can't see the problem with that, you've got bigger problems than any of us have time to sit down here and talk about. And don't think that you're exempt just because you don't care about politics or you're not a religious person. Beliefs are everywhere. It's not just in our politics and our religion. Beliefs run our world. Right? Why do politicians get elected? Beliefs. Why do institutions get built? Beliefs. Why do people end their lives? Beliefs. Do you believe that you're ugly? If so, you'll probably hide your face in pictures. Do you believe that you're stupid? You'll sit in class quietly while some idiot who once ate glue confidently explains the Pythagorean theorem wrong. Did I say that right? Pythagorean theorem? I think so. Do you believe the world's dangerous? You'll parent your kids like wrapping them up in bubble wrap is your profession. If you believe that you're not good enough, you won't pursue your dreams. Because why would you? You believe that they're not achievable for you. You see, beliefs dictate our behavior more than actual reality does. Here's an example. If you believe that the stove is hot, you won't touch it, even if it's been turned off all day long. If you believe that chair over there is broken, you're not going to sit down in it, even if it's sturdy as a rock. If you believe food is too hot, you'll blow on it, even if it's been sitting on the counter for 25 minutes. That's the power that beliefs have. And they don't have to be true. They just have to be believed. And when your brain believes something, it will look for any and everything that justifies that belief, while ignoring anything that conflicts with it. Here's what scares me the most. Most people live their entire lives and never update their beliefs, even if those beliefs hurt them, even when they hurt other people. Imagine still running your life on the same beliefs that you had when you were 6 years old. Oh, wait, you probably are. You're probably just not aware of it. You probably don't realize it. And you're wearing bigger clothes now. We inherit beliefs like they're hand-me-down sweaters. They're scratchy. They don't really fit all that well, but they're too sentimental for us to throw away. And some of those beliefs, they don't just itch. They strangle us. They convince us of lies. Take shame. Let's take shame for an example. Shame is almost always belief in a costume. I'm not good enough. I ruin everything. If people really knew me, they'd leave. Nobody's born believing that shit. Okay? When's the last time you saw a 2-year-old walk by a mirror and go, oh my God, these thighs, they're huge. That doesn't happen. You see, that shame belief, it gets planted somewhere along the way. Maybe it was from your dad's tone. Maybe it was from your mom's silence or society's bullcrap obsession with perfection. But once it takes root, it starts to run the show. And if you think that shifting your beliefs is easy, you've never tried therapy. You can't just wake up one day, look in the mirror and say, I believe I'm beautiful now, and expect your brain to just fall in line like an obedient little golden retriever. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Beliefs are stubborn. They've been reinforced in your head for years. Years of evidence. Selective evidence, sure, but enough to make them feel bulletproof and immovable. Let's talk about why that is. Y'all ever heard of confirmation bias? That's a sneaky little bastard. Your brain loves being right. It loves being right so much that it cherry picks your experiences to confirm and reinforce whatever your beliefs are. If you believe you're unlucky, every red light, every time you stub your toe, every time you lose a sock, that becomes exhibit A. Meanwhile, if you find $20 in an old coat pocket, well, that's just weird luck. We ignore anything that threatens the belief because admitting that we're wrong feels worse. And then there are group beliefs, the ones we get from families, cultures, countries. Those beliefs hand you a whole starter pack. Here's your flag. Here's your God. Here are your gender rules. Here are your gender roles. And here's a recipe for potato salad. Don't question any of it, because if you do, you're the black sheep. And nobody wants to be the black sheep because, well, sheep get slaughtered. Or worse, unfriended on Facebook. That's real popular these days. Truth is, beliefs are useful until they're not. They help kids learn how to not stick forks in outlets. They give communities structure. They keep us from trying to reinvent the wheel every morning. But beliefs that go unchecked, they can turn toxic. They can stop you from seeing the world as it is, and instead trap you in a world as if you were told this is what it's supposed to be. And then one day you wake up decades later, realizing you've been living in someone else's script of your life. And here's where I like to think the shift starts to come in. Because questioning your beliefs doesn't mean that you're abandoning your beliefs. Okay? It means you're dragging them out into the light, poking them with a stick, and asking, do you still serve me? Why are you here? Or are you just here because Great Aunt Margaret said this is the way it is in 1887? And that's scary because it means risking discomfort. It means you might have to admit that you've been wrong for a while. Or worse, what if your parents were wrong? Well, if that's not scarier than a clown in your shower, I'm not sure what is. But there can be freedom here in questioning your beliefs because beliefs can change. Slowly, sure. Painfully, most of the time. Hilarious, sometimes. But they can change. And when they do, everything starts to shift. You start realizing that maybe you're not broken. Maybe you were just believing that you were broken. Maybe you're not unlovable. You just inherited a shitty script that you didn't have any say in. Maybe you're not trapped. Maybe you're just overdue for a mental spring cleaning. So today we're going to do exactly that. We're going to tear into beliefs like it's Black Friday and Walmart. We'll look into some childhood beliefs, some cultural beliefs, religious beliefs, political beliefs, self-beliefs. We're going to tell them all. We're going to tear down all the aisles. Some of these, hopefully they'll make you laugh. Some of them are going to sting. I'm going to be honest with you. Some of them you'll fight me on because they are so damn infused with your identity that you can't see past it. And look, I'm not here to try to steal your faith. I'm not here to try to steal your worldview. Okay, that's not what any of this is about. I'm here to show you the strings. Okay, so if you keep believing something, it's because you chose it, not because someone whispered it in your ear when you were 5 years old. And here's another uncomfortable truth. If you don't question your beliefs, you're missing out on an entire world that is right in front of your face. I don't mean just the museums in Paris. I don't mean just the sunsets in Bali. I'm talking about the everyday, simple beauty sitting right in your living room right now. A child laughing in a way that does not give a damn about how productive you are. A spouse showing you affection even when you're stuck in your own head. That's a big one that It's a big one for me. A stranger holding the door at the gas station. If your beliefs have told you that the world is cruel, unsafe, and untrustworthy, you'll walk right past those moments and never even see them. Because beliefs don't just filter what you do. They filter what you notice. They cut down the world into what matches my belief and what doesn't matter. And you end up blind to half of your life. It's like wearing sunglasses indoors and wondering why the house looks so dark. You ever seen one of those videos where somebody who's colorblind gets those colorblind glasses for the first time? They put them on and suddenly the grass is green. They start crying over tulips, losing their mind over how blue the sky is. The world around them didn't just become beautiful. It always was. But for the first time, they finally saw it. Questioning your beliefs is a lot like that, except instead of colors, you start to see possibilities, kindness, connection, and meaning that you didn't even know you were allowed to notice before. But here's the tragic side of that whole situation, is some people will go their entire lives and never see it. Their beliefs will keep them so locked into a version of reality that's gray, narrow, and cruel. They believe people can't be trusted, so every single act of generosity feels suspicious. They believe I don't deserve love, so every relationship gets sabotaged before it even has an opportunity to bloom. They believe that life is just suffering, so joy feels like a setup, and now we're waiting for the other shoe to drop because that's what we're used to and what we expect. Meanwhile, life's happening all around us, all the same. Ripe, gorgeous, hilarious, and brief. And some people are missing it. Beliefs don't just rob you of your joy. Beliefs rob you of your curiosity. Let's go back to kids. Let's think about kids again. To a child, everything is a mystery to solve. Why is the sky blue? Why do worms come out when it rains? Why can't I put peanut butter on the dog? They're constantly questioning everything because they haven't yet had their beliefs cemented in their brains yet. Then at some point, adults swoop right on in, and they bring the rules with them. Well, this is just how it is, because I said so. Don't ask stupid questions, and bam, curiosity shuts down. That little switch in our brain flips from exploring to accepting. And when you stop exploring, you stop growing. The world doesn't shrink. It just stays that far out of reach. You end up walking in the same cycle over and over and over again, like a dog that doesn't realize that the fence was taken down in the yard 2 years ago. Here's what I need you to catch, okay? Some of the beliefs that you're clinging to right now are the very things that's keeping you from living the life that you've been begging for. You think they're protecting you, and they might be, but they're really just protecting themselves. Beliefs are selfish like that. They don't care if you're miserable. They don't care if you're lonely, if you're anxious, or if you're broke. They care about survival. Beliefs want to keep existing, even if it means shrinking your world down to the size of a closet. And it's not just the heavy ones. Sometimes it's the little, tiny, subtle ones that'll rob you just as blind. Like, this is a common one for me. You're not a math person. That one simple phrase has probably closed more doors for people than any calculus exam ever has. Or the belief that people like me don't travel, don't go outside of where I grew up. How many passports have sat on the shelf and collected dust because of that belief? Or how about, this is one of my favorite, therapy is for weak people. How many families could have been healed? How many lives could have been saved if that particular belief wasn't stuck to them? That's where it starts to get dangerous. And here's where it also starts to get dangerous. Beliefs don't just shape what you miss out on. They shape who you become. You're not just a person with beliefs. You are, in many ways, your beliefs walking around in a flesh suit. You embody them. You live them. You defend them. Sometimes even die for them. And if you never stop to question them, you could spend decades living as a character that you never auditioned to play. Imagine this for a second. If you believe that you're not good enough, you don't take the shot. You don't apply for the job. You don't ask out the person that you like. You don't try the thing whatever the thing is. And after a while, people stop offering you chances because you never take them. And suddenly your life now becomes that proof that you weren't good enough instead of just being an idea. But that's not reality. That's your belief building a stage set around you. That's what I mean when I say that beliefs can hijack your whole entire life. And maybe right now you're thinking, okay, I get it, cool, but how do I actually question my beliefs? That's a good question. You should be asking that question. That's what this whole episode is about. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's uncomfortable because changing your beliefs, even questioning your beliefs, is supposed to be uncomfortable. Because questioning them means that you're opening up the possibility that you've been wrong, maybe for years. And nobody likes that. Nobody wants to feel like they're wrong. We'd rather tattoo live, laugh, and love on our ass cheeks than we would admit to being wrong about something central to our identity. But the thing is, once you do start to question them, once you start dragging those beliefs out into the light, they lose some of their power over you. Beliefs thrive in the dark. They're like mold, gross, sticky, and they multiply when nobody's watching. You shine a light on them, they start to shrivel up a little bit. Even if you don't toss them out right away, just giving them a name, just acknowledging them, takes some of their power away. When one belief starts to loosen, it creates space. Space for a new thought, space for curiosity, for growth. It's like cracking a window in a stuffy room. You suddenly realize how stale the air had gotten, but you hadn't noticed it until you opened up the window. That's when life starts expanding again. That's when you stop missing out on the beauty that's been hiding in plain sight right in front of your face. So if you're listening to this and maybe you felt stuck, miserable, or like life has just passed you by, I'm telling you, it might not be because life's just unfair to you specifically. Life's unfair to everyone at some point in time, but it could be that your beliefs are lying to you. And the good news is you can change them. Not overnight, not easily, but you can. And when you do, you'll see more. You'll feel more. You'll laugh more. You'll love more. And isn't that the point of this whole messy, confusing, ridiculous life that we're all living? So how the hell do you do it? How do you actually question a belief? It's not as simple as just yanking them out of your head, you know. They're not weeds, you know. It's not like you do that and your brain suddenly looks like a manicured golf course. But beliefs are more like trees, right? Their roots, they spread. They tangle up. And when you reach down and pull one out, you realize, oh, this one's holding hands with 10 others. You start simple. You start with the first step. Spot the damn thing. Give it a name. Acknowledge it. Most of your beliefs are so sneaky that you don't even realize that they're running in the background. It's like your brain has a bunch of unopened apps that you never downloaded and you have no idea how to close them out. Like, here's one. I'll never be successful. I'm bad at relationships. I can't dance. Listen, if you've ever been drunk at a wedding, you can dance. You just believe that you can't. Or you believe that you have to have about 6 White Claws before you can. White Claws are disgusting. It's like drinking TV static and somebody's spraying orange scent at you. It's terrible. Sorry, White Claw people. The second step, interrogate it. Ask it, where did this belief come from? Did you choose it? Is it yours? Or did you inherit it like a box of ugly china from your grandma, but you're too polite to throw it away? If the belief sounds suspiciously like your dad's voice, like your pastor's voice, like your ex's voice, maybe it's not yours. You got to ask it some questions and see where the hell it's coming from. Did you feed into it or did someone force it onto you? The third step, experiment with doubt. That sounds weird, doesn't it? Experiment with doubt. Try living for a day as if the opposite belief were true. If you believe that you're unlovable, try to spend a day assuming people actually enjoy your presence. If you believe that you're cursed with bad luck, spend a day assuming that you're blessed. And just see if your brain starts to collect evidence a little differently than what it did before. You see, when you do that, you're not locking yourself into a new belief. We're talking about a day here. You're just taking it for a test drive, seeing how it feels, making sure the AC works. How can you get your seat adjusted in this thing before you really decide you want to take it home, right? And here's the best part of that. The second you loosen a belief, you create room for choice. That's the key here. Choice. Most of us, again, we're not choosing our beliefs. We're just renting them from whoever shouted the loudest when we were kids or when we were at a vulnerable point in our life. Questioning gives you a little bit of power back, where you can finally pick what beliefs get to stay and what beliefs get evicted, right? And it's not glamorous. It's not Instagram filter pretty. Sometimes questioning your beliefs will wreck you for a minute. Sometimes it'll put you in a pit of depression for a while. And I'm being serious. Sometimes it's something you got to fight through because these things are deeply ingrained into who you are. You'll sit on the kitchen floor thinking, oh my God, is half of my personality just unprocessed trauma disguised as tradition? Probably. That might be uncomfortable, but that could be what's going on. What's the alternative if you don't challenge it? You die with beliefs that you never challenged. You live and die on autopilot, defending positions that you never actually chose. You never actually explored them. They were just what your parents said and what you saw on Facebook for the last 20 years. And honestly, that's not a life. That's your brain in a hostage situation. You got to ask yourself, what's a belief that you're holding on to right now? One that feels like truth, but might actually just be wallpaper. Right? Write it down. Stare at it. Give it a good look. Ask it, do you serve me? Right? Not are you comfortable, not are you familiar, but does this belief actually make my life bigger, better, richer, kinder, freer? If the answer is no, congratulations. You just found your next cognitive demolition project, okay? And don't worry, we're not only going to focus on the dark side of it, right? Belief work can actually be funny as hell once you realize how absurd some of them are. Here are a few examples. How many of you were told as a kid that if you eat a watermelon with seeds in it, that you'll grow watermelons in your belly? Or believe that if you step on a crack, you'll break your mother's back, or cracking your knuckles gives you arthritis? Turns out science says that's not real. But half of us still hesitate, like, damn, if I do that, are my fingers going to explode? That's the kind of bullcrap that runs under the hood of our life at times. A lot of them outdated as hell, hand-me-down rules that we never question, right? We just live by them forever. So I'd like to offer you a challenge here in episode 2. For the rest of this episode, I want you listening with one part of your brain tuned to me and the other part tuned to yourself. Every time I bring up a belief, whether it be from childhood, culture, religion, politics, self-beliefs, whatever it is, I want you to ask yourself, do I have that one? Do I want to keep it? Because this isn't just my show. This is our show. Okay, this is a mirror for all of us to check out which side's our best. And when we get into the heavy hitters, the religion, the politics, the self-worth, some of you are going to tense up. You're going to want to shut it off. You're going to want to turn this off. You'll want to skip ahead. You'll want to distract yourself. You'll want to call me whatever crazy things comes to your mind. That's to be expected discomfort when we're challenging beliefs. Sit in it. Notice how it feels, because that's where the shift starts to happen. That's where you start building a life that's actually yours and not run by somebody else's script with a bunch of ideas that you just knew to be true without ever checking their reliability and their validity. Some statistical words for you guys. So let's kick this off in the childhood aisle, because honestly, that is where most of the bullcrap comes from. That's where most of the junk that got stuffed into your cart before you even knew how to push it came from. Childhood beliefs are like those weird little Happy Meals that you used to get at McDonald's. The little toys that would come in them. You never asked for them. They just came with the meal. And you rarely got a toy that was anything that you were remotely interested in. As kids, we don't question things that often. Most of us don't know how to yet, or at least how to interpret what we're questioning, right? We just absorb things. We're tiny little human sponges with terrible haircuts. I had a bowl cut. It was awful. Sorry, Mom. It was not a good haircut. And sponges, they don't discriminate between clean spring water and dirty-ass mop bucket water. They soak it all up, regardless. Someone told you at one point in time in your life that a fat guy in a red suit climbs down a few billion chimneys every Christmas and then takes off on a sleigh being flown by reindeer who for some reason can fly a few 100,000 miles an hour, and you believed it until someone proved it wrong. Or you woke up one day and thought, wait a minute. Someone told you a tooth fairy pays cash when pieces of your skeleton fall out of your face. You believed it. But it's not just the silly stuff, right? It's the dangerous stuff too. It's the subtle little messages that worm their way into the wiring of your brain. Again, we'll go back to the boys don't cry. Girls have to be nice all the time. Don't talk back. Obey, 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 obey. Those people over there, they don't matter. Those people over there, they're evil. Some of those phrases get tattooed on your psyche before you even know what the hell psyche means. And they're not just rules for childhood. They become the operating system for your adult brain when you grow up. Think about it. If you were taught boys don't cry, and then every time you feel sadness as a grown man, you shove it down with a cheeseburger and a six-pack of booze, pretending that you're perfectly fine. If you were taught good girls don't get angry, then every time you feel rage, you'll smile through gritted teeth while your insides are boiling like a busted crock pot. Those beliefs don't just disappear when you grow up. They get better at disguising themselves. Some of you grew up in houses where money was the root of all evil, and now as adults, you sabotage promotions or feel guilty because you feel guilty anytime you feel successful because deep down you believe that having money makes you inherently a bad person. Some of you are told you will never amount to anything. And even though you've built a career, a family, or a whole damn empire, there's still a voice here in the back of your head whispering, it's a fluke. It won't last. That's not real. That is childhood graffiti sprayed across your adult brain. How about the unspoken beliefs? The ones nobody actually said out loud, but you still learned them anyway. Like if your parents only showed you affection when you achieved something. What do you think you learned there? You learned, I am only worthy when I perform well. Or if conflict in your house meant doors slamming and silent treatments and cold shoulders, you learned love equals conflict. Nobody wrote those lessons down on a chalkboard. They didn't scream them into your ears, but you memorized them anyway. And now, decades later, they're showing up in your adult life, aren't they? Maybe not. Maybe you've shattered some generational behavioral patterns, and if you have, phenomenal. Good for you. If you haven't, stay with me. You can be 50 years old, making 6 figures, making 7 figures, raising kids of your own, and still secretly operating off of a belief system that you had when you were 8 years old. That's why so many people act like children when they're triggered, even when they're adults. Because we are. We're all just big-ass kids that are slightly smarter than we used to be. We might have access to a fifth of a percentage of our brain now that we didn't have before, but they're not responding as their adult self, right? Whenever we go back to these childhood reactions when we're triggered, we're responding as the scared kid who first consumed that belief and now people pleases their way to peace and perceived safety. And not all childhood beliefs are bad. Some of them are there to protect us, right? Some of them are great. Don't run into traffic. Don't talk to creepy men in white vans with bowls full of candy and perfectly trimmed mustaches. Those are great beliefs. Keep those beliefs. But mixed in with the safety lessons are landmines that explode in your face, usually later on in life, right? Never question authority. Well, that's great in theory until you learn that you realize that you're staying silent whenever your boss is harassing other people or even harassing you. Don't make waves. Well, that's also a great sentiment until your marriage is collapsing around you and you won't speak up to fix it. Be grateful for what you get. Nice. Until you realize that you've settled for crumbs in every relationship because you believed you weren't allowed to want more or worthy of receiving more. Right? Back to kids. Kids obviously believe adults, period. Even if the adult is dead wrong, which most of the time they are. If you tell a kid they're stupid, they don't think, wow, That's wildly inaccurate and a rather bold claim, if I may. No, they're children. They think, oh, okay, I'm stupid. Kids don't have fact checkers, okay? They don't have years of life and experience that's sifting through the sounds they hear to determine their reliability and their validity. Again, more statistical lingo for you guys. They just have ears. And whatever goes into those ears gets planted like little seeds. Some grow into beautiful sunflowers. Others into frickin' poison ivy. So here's a uncomfortable consideration for you guys. If you were to trace your adult struggles back to your childhood beliefs, are you scared to fail? You probably got shamed for mistakes when you were a kid. Are you scared to trust people? You probably got let down by somebody you depended on. Are you scared to be yourself? You probably got mocked and picked on the first time you tried. Those beliefs didn't appear out of nowhere. They weren't waiting for your specific collection of atoms to combine to make the flesh bag that you currently walk around in. They were taught to you. They were implied about you. They were modeled for you. And if you never question them, they'll keep running your life like a creepy puppeteer hiding in the shadows of your brain. And let me make it clear, okay? Questioning your childhood beliefs is not about blaming your parents. It's not about blaming your teachers or whoever raised you or influenced you. It's about recognizing that they handed you what they had. Maybe they were doing the best they could with what they had. Most of them, that's exactly what they did. Exactly what we're doing now. Me as a parent, that's exactly what I'm doing now. I'm giving him the best of what I think he needs, right? That doesn't mean it's always the best thing, right? Sometimes that comes with wisdom. Sometimes when it comes from our parents, it's complete crap. And if you're still carrying the crap, it's now time for you to realize this doesn't serve me. This isn't quite doing what I think it should be doing for me in my life, and it's time to get rid of this. Now, another sad truth about this whole situation is that some people, again, they'll never do that. They'll stay loyal to their childhood beliefs until the day they die, right? And they might be blissfully unaware their entire life that they are living in this script, this other idea, this other algorithm that somebody had already lined up perfectly for them before they ever had a say in it, right? They live small, scared, angry lives because they never asked, what do I actually want? Do I actually believe this? Or did 5-year-old me just accept it because I didn't know any better at the time, right? Meanwhile, life is out there, messy, beautiful, and waiting. But people who never challenge those childhood beliefs and get stuck in some of those ways, they'll never touch that reality. They'll never see the rest of the world because the invisible rules on their brain wall said, nope, can't go there, can't love that, don't trust that, not hearing that, ignore that, I'm uncomfortable, please change the topic, right? Your childhood beliefs don't just shape your childhood. They shape the adult that you become. And until you drag them out into the light, you'll never know which ones are worth keeping and which ones are strangling you in your sleep. All right, we got to move past the childhood aisle. It's messy enough, but we're going to roll right into the cultural aisle. And spoiler alert, it's a big one. It's a Costco-sized aisle because culture hands us beliefs like free samples, and most of us never stop to ask what the hell it was that we just consumed. We take whatever's on the toothpick, shove it in our mouth, and move on with our day, right? Cultural beliefs are those unspoken agreements that you did not sign, but somehow they got locked into your brain. They're the normal things that everybody around you believes, so you assume they must be true. Like, bigger is better, right? Thin is beautiful. Men should be tough. Women should smile more. These people deserve rights. Those don't. Nobody holds a press conference and votes on this crap, okay? It's just in the air. It's baked into our commercials, baked into our classrooms and our workplaces and our TikTok feed at our Thanksgiving dinner, any and everything that contributes to the routine information that you receive and reinforce in your brain. Now, they vary, of course, depending on where you're standing. In one culture, success means climbing the corporate ladder. In others, it means raising a big family. In another, success means owning a goat and just not starving to death through wintertime. Point is, culture defines the scoreboard. And if you never question it, you'll spend your entire life chasing points that you never agreed to play for, while constantly chasing worth that just keeps getting farther and farther away from you. Let's take the United States of America, for example. One of our cultural beliefs is hustle, production, grind, harder, work harder, sleep when you die. That's the American way. Go, 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 go. It's tattooed into us. Hell, a lot of us can't sit still because our nervous system wants to know why in the hell we aren't doing anything. Right? That's there for a reason. So what do? We glorify burnout. We brag about not using our vacation days. We wear exhaustion like it's some kind of badge of honor. Meanwhile, other cultures are like, hey, maybe you should take a siesta and drink some wine with friends. But in America, if you take a nap, you're lazy. If you work 80 hours a week, you're a hero. That's not reality. That is cultural programming. We're all exhausted, and many of us feel like we're just spinning our wheels. Another cultural belief, beauty standards. They change every decade, like iPhone updates, right? One decade, you're supposed to be really, really skinny. The next decade, oh, you need them Kardashian curves now. Then after that, it's whatever the hell is popular on TikTok this week. And people wreck their self-esteem, chasing these goalposts that are constantly changing and constantly moving. Not because beauty is an objective truth, but because culture agrees this is in, that's out. You're not ugly. You're just temporarily out of style. And listen, it does not matter what you look like. You are somebody's kink somewhere. Write that down. All right, let's move on to religion and politics. Everybody's favorite. They also hand us cultural beliefs, not just personal faith or personal preference, but whole societal scripts. Who counts as us, who counts as them, who gets respect, and who gets suspicion, who gets opportunities, who gets obstacles. Entire justice systems have been built off of cultural beliefs. Some are very fair, some are not fair at all. Cultural beliefs often disguise themselves, especially pertaining to religion and politics, as common sense. And everyone thinks that their version of common sense is the real one, the right one, the correct one, the way that everyone should be operating in their daily lives. There's a reason for that. That's just the way it is. Really? Is it? Or is it just the way we all agreed to pretend that it is? Right? 50 years ago, women were told they could not have credit cards without a man co-signing for it. 50 years ago. That wasn't biology, my sweet little pumpkins. That was culture. Segregation laws. Culture. Kids working in factories at 9 years old. Culture. We look back now and say, oh, how ridiculous. How could anyone possibly believe that? Easy. The same way we believe ridiculous things today that our grandkids will roast us for, right? A lot of the things that some of y'all are willing to fight to the death over. If you were born 20 years from now, you probably wouldn't even have an opinion on it. And let's not ignore the cultural beliefs inside subcultures, right? My law enforcement folks, military, corporate America, they all carry their own invisible rule books. Don't show weakness. Don't question leadership, even if leadership is absolutely stupid. Don't like the wrong sports team, right? You adapt to survive. But sometimes those beliefs, they calcify in you until they become literally who you are. They become your identity. And then you forget that you were ever allowed to think differently in the first place. Here's another dangerous part of this whole equation. Cultural beliefs reward conformity, and they punish questioning. If you step outside the script, suddenly you're weird, distrustful, disrespectful, clueless, radical. My personal favorite, evil. That's why people cling to them so hard. Not because they're true, but because believing them keeps us safe in whatever group we're currently in. Y'all ever heard of tribalism? Human beings would rather be wrong together than right alone. But here's the cost of this. Unexamined cultural beliefs rob you of your individuality. You stop asking, what do I think? And instead you just echo, what do we think? And suddenly your entire personality is a bumper sticker on your car and memes on your Facebook from whatever it is, whatever is your preferred echo chamber. You're not living your own life. You're parroting the life that's expected of you. And again, culture isn't all bad, okay? Cultural beliefs can be phenomenal, right? They can bring belonging, community, a shared meaning. Traditions can be absolutely beautiful, something that breathes life into your lungs. Cultural values can guide us. But the danger comes in when cultural beliefs go unquestioned, especially the harmful ones, when we treat it like truth instead of agreement, when we forget that culture is made by people, and in case you've forgotten, people suck. Okay? People are messy, people are biased, and people are oftentimes full of warm shit. Okay? When our culture tells us it's okay to hurt other people, to reject and deny other people, when our culture hurts or rejects who we are, when culture causes pain, unnecessary and preventable pain, it's time to unlearn that shit. Okay? Because consider this. Why does your culture protect you, but takes a big old dump on everybody who thinks, acts, and believes differently than you? Little brain soup for you to slurp on. Okay? So how do you start spotting cultural beliefs? How do you give them a name, right? How do you acknowledge them and see how they're hurting you? Well, pay attention to the shoulds. Anytime you hear, I should be married by now, I should have a house by now, I should have kids by now, I should look like that, when I have this, I should be worthy by then. Ding, 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 ding. That's culture talking. Anytime you catch yourself shaming someone else with a should, you should be this instead of what you are. You should agree with me. You should leave if you don't want to comply with what I want. That's the same thing. You're not describing objective reality. You're describing psychological programming. Here's the shift. Start asking, do I want that? Or was I told that I should want that? That one question can dismantle 1,000 false ideas that your culture may have planted into your mind. Do you really want the corner office? Or is that what you were told success looks like, and that's when you'll be worthy, is when you get that? Do you really want kids? Or were you told that is the only path to human fulfillment? Do you really hate that stranger? Or did your culture teach you that they're the enemy? Culture will hand you beliefs all day long, right? You can't stop that. But you can stop consuming all of them whole. You can learn to taste test them first, right? Ask, does this belief expand my life? Or does it shrink it? Does it make me kinder? Or does it make me harsher? Does it bring me peace? Or does it make me feel constantly pressured? And here's the thing. Once you start questioning cultural beliefs, you will piss people off. Trust me, you can count on it. Because when you step outside the script, you make everyone aware that it's a script. And people don't like that. They'd rather keep playing along, even if the play sucks. But if you stick with it, you'll find something priceless. Freedom. Freedom to live a life that actually belongs to you, breathing in fresh oxygen for the first time without all the filters that everybody told you were supposed to have attached to your face, right? So yeah, culture, it'll keep trying to write your script, but you got to realize that you get the final edit of your script. Now, put your waders on, or as my wife likes to call them, water bibs, and let's wade into the real deep end, the real uncomfortable one, religious beliefs. First of all, calm down, okay? Don't flinch. Don't at me. I don't care anyway. I'm not here to deconstruct your faith, nor am I here to hand you an atheist starter pack, okay? I'm here to point out to you how religious beliefs, like any beliefs, can shape, warp, and dominate lives in ways that people rarely stop to question. Religious beliefs, religion is the heavyweight champ of belief systems because it doesn't just tell you what to do, it tells you who you are. It tells you where you came from. It tells you where you're going when you die. And it tells you whether you're screwing it all up along the way, right? It's not just invisible rules on your brain wall. It's the whole damn wallpaper. It's the paint. It's the foundation. It's the furniture. It's the roof. It's the plumbing. It's everything. For some, religion is beautiful. It brings comfort. It brings community. It brings positive rituals. It brings meaning. It brings hope. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's beautiful. Right? As a resident in counseling, I love when I get a faith-based client because that's a steroid shot into everything I'm going to be offering them when they come into therapy. But like any belief system, it has a dark side when it goes unchecked. That's all I'm saying. Okay? That's when beliefs stop guiding us and they start controlling us. When they stop comforting us and they start condemning us. Right? Think about it. How many wars have been fought? How many lives throughout human history have been lost? How many families have been ripped apart only because of religious beliefs? Entire continents divided. People burned at literal stakes. Holy wars raging for centuries, all because one group believed that they had the direct hotline straight to God, and everybody else was dialing the wrong number. That's not divine intervention. That's belief being weaponized and used against people that believe something different. And have you looked around lately? What do you think is going on in Gaza right now? In America, right here? Happenstance? A random Tuesday? No, sweetheart. That is culture. Culture that has been molded by religious architects. And it's not just the big global conflicts. It's in the micro, right? It's in the micro stuff too. Kids growing up believing they're going to hell because of who they love. Adults carrying guilt the size of an iceberg because they broke one of 1,000 impossible rules. People giving money they can't afford because a preacher convinced them it's the only way to earn blessings. That's not spiritual freedom. That's spiritual blackmail. I'm sorry if that makes you uncomfortable, but you don't choose the beliefs that you start with. You can be as uncomfortable with that as you want. Your brain cannot do that yet. It doesn't even know how to wipe its own ass. You don't even know how to wipe your own ass at that point, right? We don't choose the beliefs we start with. If you were born in Texas, you probably got a Christian download. If you were born in India, you got a Hindu one. If you were born in Saudi Arabia, you got an Islamic one. You didn't sit down at 5 years old and compare all these religious systems like you were shopping for car insurance and then just pick whichever one you liked the best and which one you thought benefited you the best. You just believed what your family and what your culture handed you. Which means, for billions of people, religion is not a chosen faith. It's an inherited one. Hell, several of you are probably worshiping the same thing. It just has a different name and a different book. And that matters because if you never question it, you might spend your entire life defending beliefs that you did not actually pick. You'll fight, you'll argue, you'll shame, you'll condemn other people over a belief that came preloaded onto your childhood hard drive. Now, let me say this again for everyone who has their pitchforks out, okay? Questioning your beliefs is not abandoning them, okay? Some of the most grounded, compassionate people that I have ever known in my life are deeply religious. They've examined their beliefs. They have asked the hard questions. They've wrestled with any doubt that they had. They've explored the ins and outs of their religious beliefs, how it lifts them up, how it breaks them down, how it impacts their perception of other people, their perception of themselves, and they've reached a sound intersection where their faith and their identity meet, and they coexist beautifully. They didn't just inherit the package and leave it unopened on the shelf for their entire life. That's the difference. Questioning doesn't kill faith. It refines it. It dares it to grow with you and you to grow with your faith, to challenge one another, to learn from one another. The only thing that dies when you question faith is blind loyalty to something that might be hurting you or other people. Faith is and should be very personal. I mean, you claim it's the driving force behind every component and element of your life from the moment you're born till the day you die, and depending on what you believe, what happens after you die, right? If it's really that deep, if it's really that important to you, shouldn't you want it to be as you see it through your own eyes, through your own lenses? Or what gets clicks on social media and has you on the community's winning team? If you've ever been in religious spaces, you know how sticky those beliefs can get. They don't just sit in your head, they embed into your identity. You're not just someone who believes in God, or 1,000 gods. You're a Christian, a Muslim, a Hindu, a Buddhist, a whatever. It's not, this is what I believe. It's, this is who I am. And when belief fuses with identity, changing it feels like spiritual death. That's why people cling so hard to it. Not because the belief itself is completely flawless or that the text always makes sense, but because letting go feels like losing a part of or all of themselves. Again, that's why questioning religious beliefs takes so much courage. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not just about theology. It's about risking rejection from your family, from your community, from your culture. It's about saying, I need to explore this, right? Because I have questions, and watching people treat you like you just committed treason, it's terrifying, which is why most people don't do it. They stay inside the lines where it's safe, even if those lines are choking the life out of them and contributing to their feelings of unworthiness, which is psychologically suffocating, by the way. But when you do start asking the hard questions, you often find that what survives is more authentic, more genuine to you. It's not a hand-me-down version of faith that you got from somebody else. It's the tested, wrestled with, I've bled for this version of my belief. And that's worth something. Whether you end up staying in that very faith that you grew up with, leaving it entirely, or building something in between. It's finally yours. As you see it, as you feel it, because this is your life. Why would God give it to you if not to live it as best you can and know how? Right? Now, some of you are listening, and you might already be tense as hell after what I've been talking about for the last few minutes. You're probably thinking, he's attacking my religion. I am not attacking your religion. I'm attacking the laziness of unexamined beliefs. If your faith brings you peace, community, and love, keep it. Cherish it, feed it, water it, because that is incredible. But if your faith is making you feel small, scared, hateful, or exhausted, maybe it's time to poke it with a stick and see what crawls out. Because here's what I believe. A belief system worth keeping can handle big questions. If it crumbles the second you poke at it, it wasn't strong enough to guide your life anyway. And you deserve stability. We all deserve stability. It should be a fundamental human right. And if religion isn't your thing, don't check out here, because even if you're not sitting in a pew or kneeling on a mat or chanting in a temple, you've still got beliefs that function like religion. Beliefs about politics, about gender, about money, beliefs about what kind of person you are. They may not come with stained glass windows or hymnals, but they carry the same weight. Rules, rituals, identity, right? And if you don't question them, they own you. So, I got a little bit long-winded there again. So whether your belief system came from a holy book, a political party, or your Uncle Jim's Facebook rants, this question is the same. Does it serve you? Does it make you kinder? Does it make you freer? Does it make you happy? Does it fulfill you? Right? Does it give you meaning? Does it open your eyes to the beauty around you, or does it make you blind to anything that doesn't fit inside its walls? That's the question. Because at the end of the day, beliefs are meant to guide you, not put you in a cage. And if yours feels more like a prison than a compass, maybe it's time to ask where it belongs in your life, right? So let's transition away from this long monologue and into the segments for episode 2, starting with If Scars Could Talk. If scars could talk, they wouldn't whisper about pain. They'd preach about beliefs. because every scar you've got, visible or not, it carries a story about what you were forced to believe in that moment. The physical ones say things like, you believed that you survived that wreck, or you believed the fire wouldn't kill you, and you were right, because here you are. But the invisible scars, the ones in your mind, they're a little trickier. They say, you believed you deserved that treatment, or you believed silence kept you safe. You see, scars are receipts, proof that you bought into something, willingly or unwillingly. The problem isn't that the scar exists. The problem is what we start believing out of that scar. And when we start believing that that scar defines who we are. Like, I was cheated on, so I'm unlovable. I was abused, so I'm broken. I failed once, so I'm a failure. That's not truth. That's scar tissue. The first scar comes from a reader of the book, Welcome to the Shift Show, How to Love Yourself in a World That Won't. And I don't have it pulled up here. I've just kind of have to summarize this a little bit for you. He shared how a jagged scar on his forearm that came from a car accident where I think he was a teenager at the time. Every time he looks at it, he doesn't just see the twisted metal from the crash. He saw a recklessness within himself, a carelessness, and proof in his mind that he was dangerous and irresponsible. He'd convinced himself that he was a bad person. It sounds like that scar became a belief that bled into everything else. But I wouldn't say that that's a scar of recklessness. I would say that's evidence of survival, my friend. A reminder of your strength. A receipt from a valuable life lesson from a purchase that has informed the rest of your life. Same scar, new belief. Let's try that one instead. Maybe it's not shame. Maybe that scar is resilience, right? The second one came from a lady who is also a reader. She says that she doesn't have any visible scars that she has to talk about, but she talked about some internal scars, right, that she carried the same way. She talked about years of being abused verbally, mentally, and emotionally. Excuse me. And she carries the invisible scar of believing that she is unlovable, that no one will ever love her or ever feed into her again. Every relationship she's entered, she would flinch at kindness because she was convinced that it was only temporary. That scar whispered, this won't last. You don't deserve this. That belief nearly cost her the chance at a healthy marriage. She says that only when she asked the hard question, whose voice is this scar? Whose voice is that? It's not mine. When she realized it wasn't hers, the scar stopped defining her. The belief about the scar was the one that defined her. And beliefs can be changed again, right? Scars can be appreciated, right? If scars could talk honestly, they'd say, I'm proof that you survived this thing, not proof that you're ruined. They'd remind you that you're not the scar, you're the whole body carrying it, moving anyway, still breathing, proving your resilience every single damn day. Thank you to those folks who sent that in. Y'all send me some more of your scars for upcoming episodes. Now, let's do the unwritten rules of being a human being. Life is weird, especially right now. And today's unwritten rule is never challenge someone's core belief at Thanksgiving dinner. Seriously, you can argue about football all you want. You can debate pumpkin versus pecan pie, maybe even slip in a passive-aggressive comment about politics. But the second you poke at someone's deep-seated belief system, explosion, right? The green bean casserole is now a projectile weapon. Why? Because humans treat beliefs like sacred cows, not ideas, not opinions, some mystical entity that's incapable of being challenged. You challenge a belief, and suddenly you're not just disagreeing with people. Now you're insulting grandma. Now you're questioning someone's entire existence. It's absurd if you really think about it. Imagine if we acted this exact same way over food, over pizza toppings. Wait, you believe that pineapple belongs on pizza? Well, you're dead to me. Family over. Christmas is canceled. You're not in the will anymore. right? That's how we behave with beliefs, right? We don't treat them as flexible ideas to explore, but as immovable hills in which to die upon. And it's funny until it's not, until you realize that the unwritten rule is exactly why we stay stuck in the same damn cycles. We tiptoe around the hard conversations, and we pass the gravy while the giant elephant in the room is jugging knives in the corner. But maybe it's time to break that rule. Maybe it's time to risk a little awkwardness. Maybe it's time to be a little uncomfortable because, yes, questioning someone's beliefs might make dinner a little more tense than it was last year, but it also might wake something up. It might plant a seed. It might just open up a crack where curiosity can slip right on through. It may help everyone at the table understand each other just a little bit better if we start having conversations. Oh my God, can you imagine if we all tried to understand each other? My goodness at the possibilities. So maybe the real rule isn't never challenge beliefs at Thanksgiving. Maybe the rule is challenge them kindly. Challenge them with curiosity. But challenge them, because growth doesn't come from playing it safe over mashed potatoes, right? It comes from actually challenging things, seeing how it impacts your life. Now let's move on to, what are we going to do next? Let's do the unanswerable next. I thought about this a little bit earlier. The unanswerable question of the week pertaining to beliefs is, what would you believe if nobody ever told you what to believe? Shoo-wee. That one gets the nervous system moving, don't it? Strip it all away. Everything. Your parents' voices, your pastor's voice, your teacher's voice, the bully's voice, your ex's voice, your abuser's voice, the newscaster voices, the endless scroll of Instagram truths and Twitter hot takes. Wipe it all away. Imagine if you grew up on a deserted island with nothing but your own experiences of the world. There's no labels. There's no scripts. There's no shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Just you, reality, and only what it looks like from your perspective. What would you believe about yourself? About love? About trust? About the universe? About what's right and what's wrong? About what matters? About who matters? That's uncomfortable, isn't it? Of course it is, because it reveals how much of what we believe isn't ours. It's borrowed. It's inherited. It is downloaded into us like apps we never agreed to install. And again, the scariest part about it is most people, I've said this 1,000 times in this episode, they're never going to find out on their own because they never get quiet enough to listen to themselves because they're too damn busy listening to everybody else. That's why this question doesn't necessarily have an answer. It's not supposed to, right? How could it? It's a reality that literally does not exist. And it's actually difficult to visualize if you think about it because it conflicts with everything your brain already knows. It's a mirror. It's a reminder that if you've never stripped your beliefs down to the studs and asked, is this mine? Do I want this thing that was forced onto me? You might still be living someone else's idea of your life. So just sit with that question for a little bit, right? Feel it out. Don't try to solve it. Just hold the question. What would I believe if nobody told me what to believe? That's the unanswerable question this week. And again, it's not here to be answered, right? I ask you these questions each week to hopefully find a shift in you somewhere, to help you see maybe this thing over here isn't serving me. Let me find something that's going to serve me a little bit better, okay? Now, let's do Humanity 2.0. If you're not familiar with this one, Humanity 2.0 is where we envision a different version of humanity. Let's play a game. Imagine we could hit the reset button on humanity, right? We did this last time, but this is going to be a little bit different. Again, we wipe the slate clean. There's no inherited beliefs. There's no dusty traditions. There's no political parties screaming across the aisle at each other. No centuries-old grudges. Just 8.5 billion human beings waking up on a brand new morning with nothing but curiosity and the clothes on their backs. Humanity 2.0, if you will, without a script, a brand new hard drive with unlimited storage. What would happen? My wager is there would be a lot less hate, because hate, folks, is not natural. Hate is a learned and often masked behavior. No infant has ever come out of the womb thinking, you know what I just can't stand? People who are a different color than me. That shit's learned. Okay? In Humanity 2.0, a stranger isn't a perceived threat yet. They're just another person who might share their snacks, right? Without inherited beliefs, you don't start with division. We don't lead with that. You start with questions. Who are you? What do you like? What makes you laugh? Are you going to eat that? That's it. Those are the questions. And suddenly the world is less about us versus them and more about, hey, you want to build a fire together so we don't freeze to death? We should probably drink water soon. Hey, I'm bored. What is fun? Should we invent fun? Let's invent fun, right? The tragedy of Humanity 1.0, our current version, is that we all inherited scripts that divide us, beliefs that sorted people into their own little boxes, their own little categories. Chosen versus damned, powerful versus powerless, worthy versus worthless, good versus evil, beautiful versus ugly, smart versus stupid, rich versus poor. But what if those beliefs were never written? What if the only division that mattered is, are you a kind person or are you an asshole? Because in my opinion, in the grand scheme of things, that should be the only thing that actually matters. That would be Humanity 2.0. A different envisioned version of who we are, a world where people are measured by their actions, not their categories. Where curiosity outruns judgment. Where love isn't rationed out based on race, gender, faith, or your bank account. Now, that's a beautiful idea, right? Another beautiful sentiment, but you don't need a global reset to live that way, to give that a shot. You can choose your own upgrade right now, today. You can refuse to inherit beliefs that divide us. You can create micro versions of Humanity 2.0 right within your own family, at your table, in your friendships, in your workplace. Right? We can all take little steps to make this whole experience a little more tolerable for everyone. Okay, moving on to the Life is Wild segment. You want to know something crazy? Beliefs are not just a human thing. The animal kingdom runs on them too, but it's a little different. You see, animals keep it simple. A gazelle believes that lions are dangerous. A lion believes that gazelles are lunch. Those beliefs are useful. They keep the ecosystem going. But humans, we overcomplicate the hell out of everything, right? A bird doesn't sit on a branch thinking, I'm not good enough at flying. Other birds are prettier. Maybe I should just stop. A raccoon does not dig through a trash can at 2 o'clock in the morning and then spiral into, am I fulfilling my whole purpose? You see, animals believe what helped them survive. Humans collect beliefs like trading cards. Often what's popular now, and most of which do absolutely nothing but weigh us down. Think about ants. Have you ever noticed, you see, ants believe in teamwork. They believe in teamwork so much that they will build a living bridge out of their own bodies to achieve tasks, to get from point A to point B. And it benefits the entire colony. But the ants don't stop and argue about politics first and fight about who voted for who. No, they just do the damn thing. They come together, they build the rope, they get the food, they bring the food back in, and then the day's over, everybody's got a full belly and everything's fine, right? Meanwhile, humans, we got people who won't even merge lanes on the highway without believing that the other person is Satan himself if he does not let them over into his lane, right? How about elephants? Elephants have this thing called learned helplessness. Trainers chain them up as babies so they grow up believing that they can't break free. Imagine being this however many ton animal. Tricked yourself into believing that you cannot escape this little room that they've got you locked into. Even when they're massive adult elephants, strong enough to rip a tree out of the ground, they stay tethered by nothing but a tiny little memory. That sound familiar? That's us, humans, walking around with invisible chains from beliefs planted decades ago. Beliefs that could snap if we just test them a little bit. And life is extremely wild. And the wild is trying to teach us something. Stop complicating what it means to survive, to thrive, to connect. Animals don't waste their time with beliefs that don't serve them. Maybe it's time the smartest animal, us, learn the same damn thing. Final segment is stay. This is the segment, if you're not familiar with the show, this is where I like to talk to the folks who are currently on or who have ever been on the edge of life. Because I've been there and I know a lot of people who have been there. And if that's you today or that has been you, if today's the day that you were planning to give up, don't. Stay here. Because I know what beliefs can do when they turn against you. I know all too well that little voice in the back of your head that says you're a burden. I know the script that whispers, this world would be better off without you screwing it up. And I know how convincing it sounds. But that voice is not truth. That voice is a belief that is dressed up as reality. I'm sorry to tell you this, but beliefs kill. They push people to wars, to hate, to violence, and yes, sometimes to people ending their own life. But beliefs can also save people. Entire nations even. The belief that pain isn't permanent. The belief that someone somewhere would miss you if you weren't here. The belief that tomorrow could be lighter, even if today is crushing you. I come with news. You are not the beliefs that are trying to end you. You are bigger than they are. You are more than they are. You are more than they tell you that you are. And there is a part of you, even if it's a small part of you, that wants to live. Listen to that part. Water it. Nurture it. Give it one more day. Stay for the stupid jokes you haven't heard yet. I'll have plenty of them for you. Stay for the sunsets you haven't seen yet. Stay for the random stranger who will one day hold the door for you and make you believe that there is still a little bit of kindness left in this disgusting world. Stay for the laughter of your kid or your future kid or the kid you'll never meet but whose life you will touch in ways you can't imagine if you stay just one more day. Stay because beliefs can be shifted. And once they shift, the whole world opens up. Don't leave before you get a chance to see it. You're worth it, and everything out here is worth it. Yeah, life sucks sometimes. Life gets hard, right? Stay one more day. Let's stay together. So, that is it. That is episode 2 of the Shift Show. Down. We tore into beliefs from childhood, from our cultures, from our religions, to our thoughts about ourselves, our personal stuff. We poked them. We questioned them. We drug them out into the light. We looked at the scars. We looked at some unspoken rules. And we explored an unanswerable question. We explored a new version of humanity. We took a few lessons from the wild and had a raw reminder to stay in the mess long enough to learn to heal. And if there's one thing that I hope you carry with you today away from this episode, it is this. Your beliefs are not facts. None of our beliefs are. They are choices. And if you don't like the life they're building, you have permission to choose again. Sometimes we have to question the wallpaper in our brain. We have to tear down what doesn't serve us, keep what makes us kinder, freer, stronger, because at the end of the day, beliefs aren't meant to cage you. They're meant to guide you. And if you remember nothing else from this episode, remember this. Beliefs don't have to be true. They just have to be believed. So choose the ones that let you breathe. Choose the ones that let you live. Choose the ones that give you something worth staying for. As always, it has been a genuine pleasure, and I hope that I was able to feed a little laughter and positivity into your life today. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff that makes me feel all nice and warm and validated inside, but mainly to get this show in front of the people who need it most. Be sure to check out the book if you hadn't had an opportunity yet, and I will see you next time for episode 3 of The Shift Show. In the meantime, love yourself loudly, and come on back when the world gets too loud.